Welcome into DC On Screen episode 392. This is your weekly DCEU news episode. I am your host, David C. Robertson. This, my co-host, Jason Goss.
Hello.
How's your week been, man?
Oh, it's been fine.
I have a confession to make.
What was that?
I succumbed. I bought a fidget spinner.
Let me know when you figure out how someone managed to make money off that.
Well, you know, I didn't seek it out. I went to the store specifically for a bit of wine, and as I was checking out, it was just laying on the self-checkout counter, and I went, "Oh, well, someone put this back." I've heard a lot about these things. Teachers hate them, parents hate them, teenagers love them.
Let's see what the hubbub is about.
Yeah, I checked the price, and it was like $5, and I was like, I've heard reports of these things going for, a couple $100 for some reason. I don't understand it. But I'll give it a shot.
Good God.
And, yeah, I know.
I mean, they're at my local gas station for $5 at the counter. Like an impulse.
Like, who's spending that much money on one of these things?
I don't even know what it does.
The little circles on the outside, I thought those spun too, but they don't. So I felt a little,
A little cheated?
No, yeah, cheated.
No, I was checking out at the gas station, and the guy had me rung up, and then my arm shot quickly to this little device, and I picked it up, and I was looking at it. And he was kind of waiting on me to see if he should ring it up, and I looked over and realized what he was doing, just expectantly looking at me. I was like, "Oh, I'm not buying this. I just needed to ask it what its purpose was." And he just kind of laughed and was like, I have no idea. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they claim that it helps kids or people with ADHD. Helps them to focus. It's, just a fidget device. I ashamedly admit, I took it out and I thought, this is nothing. I got cheated here. Within 5 minutes, I realized that I'd just absentmindedly had it in my hand and was spinning it for the entire time. And for the last 24 hours, all the time that I wasn't asleep, I found that I had it in my hand most of the time. So, it may have been the best $5 I ever spent.
It's a weird little brainwashing device.
It is.
You have tempted me to just go see if there's something to this.
Well, importantly, all of my pins have been unclicked today.
Yeah. So you're not just doing that clicky, click.
Yeah. I have not used any pins for drumsticks.
Yeah.
I haven't clicked anything.
My ankles and knees would probably appreciate the not bouncing my leg.
Yeah. I haven't found a random piece of paper and folded it several times and kept packing it on the desk. So this might be a turning point for me. I'm as surprised as anyone.
Fair enough.
But, hey, what are you going to do?
I did manage to go to Birmingham had a comedy festival. I managed to get out to a couple nights.
Oh, nice.
It was fun.
Was it any good?
Yeah, pretty good. I didn't know who anybody was for the most part. I had to kind of look up their resumes and go oh, they were on stuff. But
Ooh.
But yeah, it was funny. It was just nice to be able to go see some. We don't have a lot of stand up come through Birmingham, so that was nice to get out and watch.
That's cool, man. All right, yeah, I guess we got a lot of news. We should probably jump into this.
We'll dig in.
So I really don't want to talk about this first thing, but it's a thing that happened. It dropped today. Zack Snyder is stepping away from Justice League, and to be fair, most of the movie is filmed. Most of it's been done. This is something he kept private, though. His daughter Autumn Snyder committed suicide back in March.
That is rough.
She was 20 years old, dude.
Yeah, that is rough.
He said, in my mind, I thought it was a cathartic thing to go back to work, to just bury myself and see if that was the way through it. And this was, I guess, the Hollywood Reporter he was talking to. He says, the demands of this job are pretty intense. It is all-consuming, and in the last 2 months, I've come to the realization I've decided to take a step back from the movie, to be with my family, be with my kids who really need me. They are all having a hard time. I'm having a hard time. Obviously. It's just... I can't even imagine. I don't have kids, and I can't imagine. Like, the closest thing I can equate it to is, like, my nephew or my niece, and even that is just like, ugh. Just, I don't know. I won't get into it because I can't do the show.
Yeah. I don't really have a way to process what he's going through.
No, yeah. So Deborah Snyder, producer on Justice League, she's also taking a break. Now, weirdly, this actually made me go back and look and see if this was some sort of a fake story or something, because they just sort of throw this into the story. But apparently, this is happening. Apparently, he is bringing in Joss Whedon. They hired Joss Whedon to come in and write and shoot additional scenes and carry the film through post. The studio actually asked if he wanted to push back the release date, and they said no. The Snyders declined that offer, which I thought it was nice of the studio to do, because that takes there's a lot of money already sunk into this being released at a certain time.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of stuff that goes in, like talking to vendors and everything. You have to change posters, you have to change everything.
Yeah. I mean, they're far enough away where it's still salvageable, but
yeah. But
it would have hurt a little.
I thought it was really nice of the studio to do that. The studio said what they're going through is unimaginable, and my heart, our hearts go out to them. That was Toby Emmerich, president of Warner Brothers Pictures. And everybody knows Joss Whedon. He's talking about doing the Batgirl movie. He did the Avengers and the Avengers 2, or Age of Ultron, I guess it's called. I don't know why I say I guess. I know absolutely it's called that. And Firefly and Buffy and all the things. So, not a bad choice.
No, I mean, it's a great little hookup to get him out of that. Just that's a lot of awful that happened, but
yeah,
you can at least trust Whedon to kind of carry on and make a solid product out of what's going down.
Yeah, and Snyder apparently he screened a rough cut of Justice League for a bunch of friends and fellow filmmakers, and he wound up wanting to add additional scenes, and he brought Whedon in to write them. And he was about to go to England to do the additional photography, and then realized that he shouldn't leave. And they have 7 kids. This is not a time. So Emmerich says the directing is minimal, and it has to adhere to the style and tone in the template that Zack set. We're not introducing any new characters. It's the same characters in some new scenes. He's handing the baton to Joss, but the course has really been set by Zack. I still believe that despite this tragedy, we'll still end up with a great movie. I mean, I'm hoping, obviously.
Yeah.
Now, Snyder already, he sort of, I guess you would say he preemptively responded to the internet hatred. He says, here's the thing, I never planned to make this public. I thought it would just be in the family, a private matter, our private sorrow that we would deal with. When it became obvious that I needed to take a break, I knew there would be narratives created on the internet. They will do what they do. The truth is, I'm past caring about that kind of thing now.
Yeah. Go ahead and brace yourself for some truly awful comments, because...
Oh, I've already seen a bunch, and I've blocked some people on Twitter. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Some of the just disgusting hatred that's come out of this.
Yeah. I don't care how much you love or hate a director. This is really no time for that.
Yeah, I'm not going to give the person a name, but you don't think Jesus that he made someone commit suicide so that Joss Whedon could come in and save Justice League. That's crap.
Yeah, it's just poor taste. I mean, we've made some pretty classless jokes, but that's poor taste.
Yeah, this is real life, guys. So Autumn was a daughter from Zack's first marriage to Denise Snyder. She was in college at Sarah Lawrence College. Apparently, she was a writer. She loved to write. Deborah said that she had written a sci-fi fantasy novel in the first person, and she got to read it. She said, it's like, hearing her voice. It's just really sad. I don't know. This is a sad thing.
Yeah.
Snyder about. He says, "I want the movie Justice League to be amazing, and I'm a fan. But all that all pales pretty quickly in comparison. I know the fans are going to be worried about the movie, but there are 7 other kids that need me. In the end, it's just a movie. It's a great movie, but it's just a movie." I don't know. I stand behind the dude.
Yeah. No, this is no time to focus on.
Yeah, I've torn Snyder another asshole for some of his like color grading choices and stuff, but I mean. This is, it has nothing to do with any of this.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to Justice League, and I do love Joss Whedon's work, but none of that really matters here. Yeah,
I mean, I'm glad to have him, but I would have taken a number of other circumstances.
Zack says that he wants to see Autumn's manuscript published someday with the proceeds going to charity. He says in the end she didn't make it, but her character does, and I think there would be something cathartic for people. He also says she had a quote that she included in everything she wrote. Every single thing is from author Chuck Palahniuk, one of my favorite authors, actually. Mm-hmm. We all die. The goal isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great quote.
Ran across that one before.
Now, Langston Travis on Twitter tweeted this out. He didn't even tweet it to us. He tweeted it to the Suicide Squadcast, actually. But I liked it, and I retweeted it, and obviously I think it's poignant enough to mention here. He says, the real story here is that a father lost his daughter, not that Justice League has a new director. And I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
And then Scott from the Suicide Squadcast replied, and I absolutely agree with this as well, and had thought about talking about this on the show. So I am sharing, as Scott requested that we do. If you or anyone you know is experiencing suicidal thoughts, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. Just all of this is super sad to me.
That's true, though. It's a weird circumstance. And I mean, I felt like that's what I've been thinking about for a week now after Chris Cornell and everything else.
Oh, yeah, and Cornell has, because I've been on, a kick. You've been on a comedy kick. You've been listening to stand-ups a lot lately.
Yeah.
And I've been on a listening to comedians on interviews kick.
Mm-hmm.
I've been going back and listening to all the WTF episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of popping over and looking around on stuff on YouTube in my spare time, what little I have of it. And one thing keeps popping up is just oh my gosh, Robin Williams.
Yeah.
The Cornell stuff is just sort of...
And, Cornell hit me kind of hard because I was just such a fan of his lyrics when I was a, teenager. Just big fan.
You don't know.
I could still play so much of his music. I mean, my guitar wouldn't survive because I have to tune 17 different ways to play 18 songs, but he messed with his tunings a lot. It was a lot of fun, though. But
Cornell was the people were actually complaining about when they complained about Pearl Jam being in Man of Steel, right?
Yeah, it was actually Cornell. It was one of the first comments I saw about that later and went, no. But yeah, I feel like I've had way too much time to contemplate the psychology of suicide, and it just the bottom line is anybody out there, if it's crossed your mind, that's normal. It really is. Don't think it's abnormal. A lot of people think about it for a fleeting second here and there, just as a passing fantasy, the same way you think about the lottery or something. I mean, it's not weird to think about, but if you find yourself forming plans, especially, please go talk to somebody. And if you talk to somebody and they don't seem to pay attention, they're not your friend. Go find somebody else.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm not talking to, we're not talking about when you're sitting in traffic. We all think about it in traffic.
Everybody thinks about I just want to drive this thing off a cliff sometimes. But but there really is a difference between a passing thought and if you're a little introspective and think about is this a passing thought or have I really been thinking about this for a minute? If it's the case that you have been thinking about it for a minute, you got to call somebody. There's no amount of self-therapy in the world, and it doesn't just turn itself around. I mean, I do actually have a degree in this stuff. I know what I'm talking about. It doesn't just fix itself. You got to go talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And soon.
I mean, sometimes it kind of fixes itself. Rarely.
I'd say
that as a person who had it fixed, I kind kind of fixed it myself. College was not always a fun. College was a pretty dark time for me.
Yeah, I had some bad moments.
I kind of just went. I pulled myself out of it a lot. Like,
yeah, I definitely had a few of those.
You kind of have to.
I mean, I had
some people can't. It was hard.
I had a number of issues, especially in college, and on top of that was studying psychology. So I had way too much time to. Basically, if I get too inside myself, it's a disaster. But a lot of what I learned is that it's just not. You gotta reach out. I mean,
and to be fair, I had friends. I had people I could talk to. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So it's not like I didn't seek professional help, but I did have friends.
The best advice I can give anybody that actually is maybe still qualifies for what I've been talking about is you're gonna think no one's gonna understand, but they really will. Like, just try a few people. Maybe not the first person, maybe even not the second, but try like a few people. It's worth a life.
And I had friends who didn't understand, but that didn't mean that they were bad people or they didn't care. They just didn't understand.
No, some people just don't have that outlook. Some people just aren't built that way, and some people are. But somebody out there is going to understand, and they're going to be able to help you.
Yeah,
and it's cheaper than you'd think to find professional help. I mean, that hotline is free, for goodness sake. And you'd be surprised how well trained those people are.
Yeah, I called one out of curiosity one time. I wasn't even sad. I was just curious. And
very professional.
They were actually so good. They actually drew a little bit of sadness out of me. Like, I was like, I don't know. I mean, I got some, like, I don't know where I am right now. And it was just real weird. It was like, I just called out of, random curiosity one day and one morning, actually. And it wound up actually being pretty cathartic. So,
yeah, no harm can possibly come from dialing a free number.
Well, some can.
You can always hang up if it gets weird.
What if that's what you're looking for?
Can always hang up.
Anyway, so we've got our first voicemail.
Okay, cool. Let's have somebody else drag us out of this.
Yeah, from Brooklyn Batman over on Twitter. Let's go to that first voicemail now.
Hey guys, love the podcast. This is Anthony, aka Brooklyn Batman. Love the podcast. Love the idea of voicemails. Just gonna make it quick. I just want to know your guys' opinion on the latest controversy of the Justice League reshoots. I just feel like every movie goes through reshoots. Rogue One had some extensive reshoots, and that seemed to turn out pretty good. So I'm just curious to get you guys' opinion. Usually, you go through all this clickbait, and you're able to get a real opinion on this stuff. So just curious to see what your opinion is. Anyway, keep up the good work, and I'll be listening. Take care. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. So, dude, thank you so much for the kind words.
The well wishes, I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're a stalwart voice on Twitter in our favor, and we do appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So the reshoots. Also, by the way, real quick, thank you for being our first voicemail. That's awesome. You
breaking the ice.
Hit it out of the park, dude. So you want to know what our thoughts are on the reshoots. So, after this story that we've just told you about Snyder stepping away and Whedon and everything, obviously there will be additional photography on the film. But the controversy he's referring to is this. Some janky website, and I do mean janky, called /report.com reported this week that there were to be extensive reshoots on Justice League. They claimed that an inside source told them that they've already done a ton of additional photography and will continue to do reshoots, and that by the time the movie came out, they will have essentially remade the film twice. Which is lunacy.
That's complete nonsense. Like, how could he possibly know that they're going to shoot enough footage to remake the film once and then still go back and shoot more footage?
Right.
Also, do you know how much it would cost to make Justice League 3 times?
This is absolute horse
Somewhere in the area of $1.5 billion.
Well,
no one would think they were going to make their money back on that. You would get to the 700 million mark, start getting really worried. By the time you hit like $800 million. You're already thinking, just put it out. Just put it out. I don't care. Yeah. We got to get our money back.
Yeah. Now to cement this concept, over at the junket for Wonder Woman, Steve Weintraub asked Charles Roven, and you're going to hear a lot about Charles Roven in this episode, about the rumor, and he says, we're just in the post-production process. That's where we are. We're in the middle of it. And I think it's pretty common knowledge that we're going to be doing some additional photography. The complications of trying to, Henry's on Mission Impossible, our Aquaman is making Aquaman, Amy's doing Sharper Objects. So everybody's busy, and it's that crazy Rubik's Cube of trying to find a way of getting everyone in place to do the work that we need to do, which is not that vast. The amount of work that we have to do is still really complicated, that everybody's in different places around the world. He says the reality is we are in the midst of trying to schedule the only additional photography that we've been trying to schedule. We haven't done any additional photography up to this point. Since we've wrapped, there's been no additional photography. Since we've wrapped, what there was motion capture, or what we call facial capture. So we did one round of facial capture and another mini round of facial capture. You use facial capture if you have a CG character. You do facial capture in order to give a real performance into that CG character. An example of it would be Avatar. That movie had a long period of production and post-production, and it turned out being the biggest movie of all time. So there's a lot to be said for additional photography.
They had to do it for Hulk.
Absolutely.
Every time. That's how you do his character. You build him, and then you put Mark Ruffalo's weird face on it.
You think Mark Ruffalo has a weird face?
No, just when he gets Hulk stretched. That's all. He's a perfectly handsome man as it is, but when you stretch him out and make him green, he's got a weird face.
I think he's pretty handsome.
Well, he's perfectly handsome fella, I suppose. I got nothing against his face without stretching.
So, Roven continues, social media has made executing these movies more difficult because the screening process is now different. There's so much chatter about it. You have to be more careful. Ask people to give the filmmaker more opportunity to realize his vision and adjust it along the way. But even though it's more difficult and more visible and less being able to tinker in your garage, but even though it's much more visible, we still have to do it because our job is to try and make the movies the best we can until we run out of time. So yeah, I think that I don't think it's been remade twice. I think that's crap.
No, I am 100% sure that's crap. There might be two different edits to the film that someone is exaggerating as, they made this thing several times.
Yeah. And early on in the week,
reshoots are not only common, they're almost, they border on mandatory.
Oh, sure.
Minimally, they're perfunctory.
Absolutely. Like, I feel like, and I don't know that this is true, but I feel like ever since X-Men Origins Wolverine, ever since that movie got leaked, and then they were saying that there are all these reshoots, everyone on the internet complains that, oh no, reshoots mean bad things. They have happened in every movie that you've ever seen. Every movie you've ever loved, every movie you've ever hated. Reshoots have been a thing. Because you get it into the editing bay and you go, oh shit, man, I needed this.
You can't possibly know every shot you need. It doesn't matter how well you storyboard your ideas. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter how well you write the script, how tight it is. There's going to be a moment where you go back and go, we needed it. We needed it. Now that I've seen it with all the people, I realize we need a scene that shows this crap, Yeah. There's no way around it.
As a person who has directed a bunch of YouTube videos, like comedy sketches and stuff, it's actually hard to, sometimes, rarely, I have had the ability to shoot a thing and not have any additional photography. And
that's for a 2-minute throwaway comedy video.
Yeah, I don't want to say throwaway because, damn, dude, it hurt my feelings, why don't you? But
just trying to emphasize the point. I'm in those. Shit. What do you want to do?
You're in a bunch of them. Yeah. Just look for David C. Robertson on YouTube if you want to see him. Maladjusted.tv.
It's worth coming to laugh at us. With us sometimes. At least laugh at us. Yeah. It's kind of like when I fall and no one's around to see it, I feel like that was a waste. I want someone to be around to laugh at my ass for falling. because what the hell? What? There's
Yeah.
otherwise morally the whole thing's just void.
Yep.
So anytime you'll check out our videos, we'd love you to laugh with us, but I'm happy for you to laugh at us.
Yeah.
That's fine with me too.
Yeah. A lot of people. You know what's funny is something I was talking. I was talking to somebody, may have been my sister, this week. I was talking to her, and I was like, the funny thing about it is, if you're on television and you do something really absurd and just weird, which is mostly my type of humor. And I wouldn't say surreal. I wouldn't go that far. But because I'm not a big surrealist, I'm not like, I enjoy Dolly and stuff, but I'm not like one to really get into like Noel Fielding stuff or, Mighty Boosh. I do like Mighty Boosh kind of, but, I'm not huge on surreal humor. But when you're on television, you do it, people are like, oh man, he's doing stuff that you've never seen before. Like, this is great. And everyone like shares it online. But if they don't know your face online, they're just like, what the hell did I just watch?
That is about
and
right.
They say stuff like, oh, I'm back on that part. Somehow I've stumbled onto that part of YouTube again. And I'm like, dude, Cal's Codpiece Emporium is not that weird. It's just a used car salesman.
I think it's an average take on a local commercial.
I mean, again, with the hurt.
No, not
average.
A normal take on it.
Damn, dude.
I mean, average in quality. I mean,
hey, man.
I mean, it's your basic local commercial just with cod pieces.
Who wouldn't buy the Harry Potter Cod of Invisibility? She'll never see it coming.
I'm wearing it right now.
All right. So anyway,
you just can't
moving
tell.
on to Wonder Woman. Moving on to Wonder Woman. The social media embargo has lifted, so we have some quick reviews, and these are not like Brent from DCTV Squadcast was a little worried that he wouldn't be able to listen to various podcasts this week. Here's what I've done for you, Brent. I have actively taken out any spoilers. Like, there was some news this week that was kind of spoilery, and I took it out because of you.
I also want to go on record as appreciating that.
Yeah, I know it's for you, really. But
we'll
say Brent.
I hate that, but
We'll say it's for Brent. We'll say it's for Brent.
No, I mean, I'm good with it. I'm good with at least sharing. It's like we have a birthday 4 days apart, and you got to get your family together,
Right. But no, I know there's like I take it on. I don't give a crap about spoilers. Like, I don't mind being spoiled. I really don't in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Most times I don't mind being spoiled. Because most of the time I figure out what's going to happen anyway.
I mean, that's fine. I just
don't care.
Even when I'm like 97% sure something's going to go down a certain way, I still like to live in a world where I may be wrong, and then just go in and see what happens.
Well, also, I have Stranger Things. I have, several, whatever, like a lot of different things. I can't think of any right now. Oh, yeah, all the Marvel stuff. I don't know what's going to happen on Marvel. Like, I'm so behind on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I do the show, essentially.
Yeah, I haven't had time for that at all.
I'm so far behind. But, so I live in not knowing there. And I'm like, look, I do this show. Jason doesn't want spoilers. I'll give that to him. I don't care. I'll take the spoilers.
Always appreciate it.
So, and kind of suss out what needs to be done. And for everyone. So jumping in though, these reviews are really positive. One person says everyone is asking me about Wonder Woman. It's the best DC universe movie yet. Emotional, funny, light. Gal Gadot is a star. And I didn't put down that person's name for some reason. And I don't know why. That's kind of weird.
Their words are out there. You can Google them.
Yeah. Rachel Simone says, or Rachel Simon, whichever one. I tried to class up the name. I don't know. Maybe it's Rachel Simon.
Simone.
Simon. The Wonder Woman embargo is lifted. Twitter is my favorite Twitter. Also, Wonder Woman is really damn good. Loved every minute. Silas Lesnick says, very pleased to report that Wonder Woman is the best DC movie since The Dark Knight. I'm already looking forward to seeing it again. Eric Eisenberg says, Wonder Woman is the best DCEU film so far. The heart of Gal Gadot's Diana powers it. And the shift from mythic into World War I. Story really works. Mike Ryan says, loved Wonder Woman. She reminds me of Christopher Reeve's Superman, true North superhero with no angst or cynicism, which is needed right now. Kate Erblend says, Wonder Woman, easily my favorite DCEU film, has the heart, the humor the franchise so desperately needs. Godot and Pine are charming as hell. Adam be very happy, no, relieved to report that Wonder Woman is truly good, funny, stirring, kick-ass, romantic, a solid, entertaining superhero film. Umberto Gonzalez says Wonder Woman is hands down the best DCEU film to date. Film is so good. I absolutely loved it. Bravo, Patty Jenkins, Gal Gadot, and Jeff Johns. Jason Garacio, Wonder Woman is a flawless superhero movie. Loved every second of it. Amazing work, Patty Jenkins. Jenna Bush says, I'm finally allowed to say it. I loved Wonder Woman. I teared up watching her fight. The Amazons kick ass. Stephen Weintraub says, happy to report Wonder Woman is a blast, and Gal Gadot is fantastic. Her chemistry with Chris Pine is magnetic. Absolutely recommended. He also says, best part of Wonder Woman is the film has really funny parts and an optimistic and heroic protagonist. Great step forward for DC films. Mark Hughes over at Forbes, he says, Wonder Woman is everything you want in a Wonder Woman movie and more. Is the film even DCU critics will love. Terry Schwartz says, I can finally share my thoughts on Wonder Woman. I really loved it. It's not perfect, but his charms won me over. Gal Gadot is wonderful. Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman is inspiring, funny, moving, action-packed, and very much the movie I was hoping it would be. Can't wait for you all to see it. A couple of people have asked. Yes, in my opinion, the best DCU film to date. Wonder Woman has a welcome joy to it. Ivan Pereira says, so yes, I too saw Wonder Woman at a press screener, and it's the best DCEU movie so far. Gal Gadot owns the role, and Patty Jenkins hits a grand slam. Haley Fouch says Wonder Woman is easily the best DCEU film so far. It's got heart and a love of heroes. Pine and Gadot are charming beyond measure. Jermaine Lucet, Wonder Woman is the DC movie I've been waiting for. It's exciting, inspiring, funny, and has some truly awe-inspiring action scenes. Alicia Grasso says, okay, here we go. Wonder Woman's social media embargo just lifted my thoughts. DC is absolutely on the right track here. Gal Gadot is absolutely phenomenal as Wonder Woman. She kills it. Just surprisingly good. A truly heroic light. A truly heroic light DCEU desperately needs. Rough parts, sure, but guys, you'll truly laugh, and you'll walk out for once feeling downright inspired by a DC movie. Now, there were some other people who wrote some other reviews that were very positive, but also chose to bash the hell out of Zack Snyder for it. And instead, I'll give you this. BatmanNews.com said, to those bashing Zack Snyder in their Wonder Woman reactions, he, number 1, cast Gadot, 2, wrote the story, 3, produced it, 4, collaborated with Patty Jenkins. So...
And it's clearly shot with the same, cinematographic instincts that he has become so famous for, so...
Yeah.
And also just moratorium on fucking with him for a second.
Right? Well, I mean, all that came out before the news.
I know, but now that we have that news, I just kind of like...
You know what? Even before the news came out, moratorium on screwing with Zack Snyder, because the dude's taken enough, all right? Let's be fair. If anybody was directing these movies, they would be crapped on. At a certain point, Whedon was attacked for doing Age of Ultron the way he did it.
Yeah.
So, everyone was like, oh, yay, we're happy for Joss for the first Avengers, and then the second Avengers came around like, well, we're over that. Let's tear them apart. So, let's just, give them a break.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
And
I don't feel like my integrity is compromised.
There's something we hadn't brought up before, though. I don't know if we brought it up.
Have we not brought something up? Oh, my gosh.
With the Zack Snyder criticism in particular.
Okay.
You realize there's a colorist involved in this process.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason all the Marvel movies look the same, even when it's a weird choice or something else. There's a guy who goes in and colors the film after it's when it's in post production. That's the same with the Snyder stuff. Now, yeah, he's okaying it, but somebody else is actively doing the things that he's okay.
But I wouldn't say that was even the case with Marvel movies. Like, Guardians of the Galaxy is way more colorful than, any of the Captain America movies.
No, I actually found this out recently. It's literally the same guy. They do it on purpose. to make sure that they don't have any contradictions between the movies.
Really?
Yep.
Well, I mean, seriously though, the Guardians of the Galaxy movies and the Iron Man movies are way more colorful than any of the Captain America movies.
I agree.
Like, even if it's the same guy,
you can make
I don't know
some
what to
subtle
tell you.
choices, but like they don't want you to look at Steve's costume in like Age of Ultron and then look at it in Winter Soldier and go, that's not even the same guy. Like they've specifically got the same guy coloring all the movies.
That's weird. That's so weird to me.
I mean, I know my source on that, and if I'm wrong, let me know, and I'll call him out.
Okay. Well, look, I'm just happy none of these films have done the orange and teal Transformers trick. That's what I'll say about that. Moving on. Apparently there will not be a post-credits scene in Wonder Woman, so I'm pretty happy with that. And I know it shouldn't be. I know people are like, why are you happy about that? I'm like, because I get to go pee now.
That's it. That's the first thing that occurred to me when you just said it. I get to go pee. That movie is going to be like, what, 2 hours and 6 or something like that?
Right. I think, if I made a film, I would probably put a post-credits scene. But as a viewer, I'm thankful that I don't have to like hold my, the trick where you sit there and you like literally pinch your dick.
No, you have to
so that you don't pinch yourself.
Actively pinch your penis to get through the Marvel movies. I'm sorry if that was too graphic for some people. And if you have a bladder such that you've never even envisioned that idea, I congratulate you. But some of you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. You have to actively grab that thing and cut off the valve.
So anyway, Cinema Blend asked Charles Roven why there would not be one. He says, I'm not going to say we would never do one. There was one in Suicide Squad. But I don't think that we want to feel that we're forced to do something just because we didn't in the past. I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
I don't either, and I disagree with his philosophy on this. I feel like you should be either on or off board with stingers. Also, and this is a note from Marvel. Mm-hmm. I don't know why you're doing it post credits. If it's just so we can watch all the credits, and you're trying to really like get people to see all these people that went in the movie, and there's some nobility to that idea that you want me to actually look at the names that happened that made this movie that I just enjoyed. I can get behind that to some extent, but if you're making a 2.5 hour movie, just run a quick credits with some producers and some stars. I'm talking 2.5 minutes, and then give me a couple of stingers.
Well, that's what that's what they're doing, especially with the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yeah, but they did like 5 stingers.
Yes, and here's the beauty of that, though. They had a whole bunch of stuff they wanted to put in that was going to like not work within the movie itself. It was going to mess up the pace of the movie. It didn't belong in the movie, but they still wanted to show it. It wasn't a deleted scene because they wanted it to be canon. So what do? Post-credit stingers. You pick optimal times within the credits to throw those out there. I'm down with that creatively.
And
I think it's a lot of fun.
Creatively, I like that idea. It's just it doesn't deal with the bladder problem.
That's true. It doesn't.
And I still think you could put out the DVD and then say that there's not a deleted scene section. There's an extra scene section. Like, just call it a stinger section. The word wouldn't make sense anymore because it doesn't. It means the thing at the end, but it just you could still say in canon sections that we didn't want to make you sit there and try not to pee yourself for.
Yeah, but okay, look, man, we're 10 years into these Marvel movies.
I don't bring drinks into those. I sit there and I'm parched.
I understand. That is a personal choice, though. We are 10 years into this thing, and we both sit there and shake our heads in disbelief as people get up and walk when the movie ends.
I know. Amazes me.
We choose to sit there and watch these deleted sequences because we don't want to wait for the Blu-ray.
There are two kinds of people, though, that walk out before that. I guess 3 if you include the people that are just going to buy it on Blu-ray and not worry about till that. Just not going to worry about it until then, where they can comfortably pause it and get up from the comfort of their home and go pee. But the other two people are completely ignorant, or they're just going to go wait for it to get leaked on YouTube.
That is it. That's what I was going to say. The day after Guardians was released, I saw all over YouTube, it was like, the things that were,
all five
okay,
stingers. Well, yeah, they're ready to go.
All 5 stingers. Like, someone sat there with their 4K cell phone and recorded all this shit.
Yeah.
And we can watch. That's fine. Like, hey, if you gotta go pee, I think that should be legal. I think that part they should have a little disclaimer comes up is if you would like to start recording the stingers, do so now because some people have to pee.
No, I just would appreciate it if and BVS did something very similar, where shortly after the movie they released that footage of what's his name, Steppenwolf.
Steppenwolf.
Yeah. So that would be my preference.
The communion scene.
Yeah, the communion thing. That would be my preference. Is like Monday. I'll say a movie comes out on Friday technically, but really it's Thursday night now. And you have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for all the people that are just absolute devotees that will sit there and do mind control exercises to not have to get up and use the bathroom.
Yeah.
And you got to respect that. So let them have it, but then release it in full HD officially. The Stingers like on Monday after weekend sales have come in. I don't think that's asking too much.
Well, I think the truth is we're all hurtling towards a reality where wearing something like the Stadium Pal is going to be commonplace.
The hooligan catheter bag.
Yeah. Have you seen the David Sedaris bit where he was on Letterman years ago talking about he read an essay where he was like, oh, I write books, I have long signings, okay, this will work. And it's like a condom with adhesive on it. And apparently that wound up causing what he would refer to as scabbing.
Oh, freaking bad.
He's like also, sitting there with in the hot of the sun with a bag full of urine isn't the most, isn't the best thing to really hope for.
I think there's a series of solutions before we ever get to medical equipment. I just...
Anyway.
There aren't a lot of situations where lube should be involved to go watch your movie. That's all I'm saying.
I feel you. So, producer Chuck Roven is talking about Wonder Woman over on Joe Blow, and he's talking about a bunch of different things, and we'll dip into some other movies here, some other DCEU movies, and I've truncated, believe it or not, you won't believe it, but believe it or not, I've left out things, and you can go check this out. It's joeblow.com, the full interview, but he's talking about Patty Jenkins. He says she's got this amazing sense of humor, as does Chris Pine, as does Gal, but she's the one that said you've got this amazing situation of 2 fish out of water, Diana in particular. She might be strong and fierce, compassionate and pure, but she's also very naive of the world off the island. That's going to allow for a tremendous amount of potential humor. And here is this jaded guy who is this fish out of water when he's on the island. Once he takes her into the man's world, he knows stuff that is going to blow her mind. And then he is there to milk the humor between the two of them. I think those things really allowed us to take the movie in a different direction. So when Patty took the material that we had gotten to the point before she came on as a director and said, let's move in this direction, we thought it was refreshing and fun, and it still allowed us to have really great emotion when we needed to. Joe Blow asked, looking at this, and obviously the critics appear to be embracing it, will that play into how you will carry this into the future at all? Chuck Roven says, well, I know you might find this hard to believe, but it's really true. We haven't really... You always muse when you are making a film, particularly where you know that everybody is going to be interested, including yourself, on making the next one. In the case of Wonder Woman, we did some additional photography on this, and we were finishing that while we were shooting Justice League. So literally, there was a period of time where Gal was working on both movies at the same time. So you go, what is the next one going to be? And you go. We can't be thinking about what the next Wonder Woman will be, because are we going to do the intervening period between the end of this Wonder Woman and Batman v Superman? Or are we going to do something that will pick up after Justice League? Somebody had an idea about that, and somebody had an idea about this. But we didn't really spend any time, because we just finished this movie maybe 6 weeks ago. We took all the time that they gave us Because when you're doing these special effects movies, you can't actually finish the technical aspects of the movie until your shots are locked. I can't have my composer come in and actually lay the score down, because if the frame is off by 1 frame, it's out of sync.
Mm-hmm.
So the technical aspects of making a movie like this don't really allow you a lot of time, particularly if you do some additional photography and there's a fixed release date and stuff like that. Listen, it's a high-class problem, but it's still an issue. So you are working so hard, and then you've got publicity and all of that stuff. You don't really have a lot of time to sit around and talk story. They asked, looking at the long haul, how many how many films are the actors signed up for at this point? Roven says, well, everybody is different depending on when the deals were made and how many they've done. Ben has done Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad, and Justice League, right? Gal has done Wonder Woman, Justice League, and Batman v Superman. They all have deals. I'm not exactly sure. I couldn't sit here and tell you this one has so many options left and this one has no options left or whatever. The great news is that in terms of my best read of the situation, everybody loves the characters they play. This is not just the lead good guys, it's the lead bad guys as well, or the bad but not evil members of Suicide Squad. I think everybody really likes those characters. I think all of the actors would like to be part of another one. And they asked, when Affleck decided not to direct the Batman and Matt Reeves stepped in, I think people were afraid that Ben might not reprise the role. Is there any fear of that? Chuck Roven says, I'm not really involved with the Batman, but from everything, we have a cursory involvement because that character is going to touch us in some way. If Ben plays that character, it's going to touch some part of what we are doing. But I have no feeling whatsoever except positive that Matt loves Ben and the work that he has done as Batman, and Ben thinks that Matt is a really terrific filmmaker. I have every expectation they're going to make a movie together.
That is encouraging.
It says, you have Joss Whedon coming in for Batgirl, you have Reeves for the Batman. This is exciting stuff. Any talk of building a Batverse like they do in the comics? Roven says, well, again, I'm not involved in Batgirl, but I'm really a big fan of Joss Whedon as a filmmaker. I think it's great that he's involved with the DCEU right now. I've been trying to get into business with him for a really long time. Up until a few years ago, he was involved with Marvel. And then, when he left, he didn't want to think about it for a while. They said, how often does fan opinion play into what you are trying to create? And Roven says, I think that the thing that we looked at was the amount of pushback that we got on BVS, at least in terms of things that we should look at about tone, even though we felt very strongly that in the making of the film. And if you actually look at the canon of when Batman and Superman fought, that's a very dark comic, and that movie was going to be dark. As much as everybody embraced it when we announced it, I think nobody really thought that. But you had to take these characters and get them to the place where two guys that we really admire and like are going to fight each other in a really tough way, where one may be thinking he's going to take the other one out. How are you going to get that and make it feel real? The good news for us was that we knew that just by virtue of the fact that we were going to be bringing these other guys into the group with this recruitment, it was going to be lighter in tone. And they said, we discussed what Patty brought to this film. Are you already thinking of having her return? He says, I think she is going to have a lot of options after this movie. I believe that she's dedicated to the character, so I'm hopeful that she'll be back for another one. But there is no other one yet in the works to commit to. So yeah, big Chuck Roven interview. There's a lot more over there.
Now, I haven't heard Wonder Woman 2 announced yet, but Patty Jenkins and all the press I've seen, or even tweeting I've seen from her, really loves what she's working on right now.
Well, Zack Snyder said there's going to be a Wonder Woman 2, but Batgirl's going to be first.
Oh, did it?
Zack and Deborah said that last week.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Forgot about that.
You were here for it.
I forgot about that.
Or were you?
I need at least 2 weeks with any given memory to make sure it's there.
I know. So look, there's a ton of new promotional
but that
materials
is actually
out there. It's
a
too
pretty
much.
solid implication. Because the embargo went up earlier than it did with Suicide Squad.
Well, this is just the initial social media review. The full-on reviews won't be until later.
Still, the word embargo, it was a few days before Suicide Squad, wasn't it?
Indeed, yeah, I believe it was.
And that was a lot of when the movie came out and it got a little critically panned. People brought that up as oh, that's why they just lifted the embargo 70 hours before the movie actually hit the road.
Well, It's also been pointed out a lot of different studios have done it on a lot of different movies. Like, they've kept the embargo up way before, and then it lifted like right before the movie came up, and it was a fine movie. It was critically accepted, pretty well.
Well,
so I mean,
to me, this is a good indication, though, where like the embargo's up, people can talk about it, and the reviews will be out, and it's much less scary, to be honest. Because like when Suicide Squad waited so long, I was a little worried too, and it didn't mean I didn't like the film, but I understood some of the critical stuff there, and I understood why they held their cards in so hard.
Yeah. That stack of money that stopped that knife should have absolutely been that unicorn. But,
yep.
No, but there are other films that they waited to the last minute that were fine critically.
Yeah, it's not 100% rule by any stretch, but
yeah, it just has to do with how tight a studio is willing to hold its dick before letting go. I mean,
it's correlation, not causation on that one.
Yeah, it's real weird. Yeah, I don't. I would have guessed the same thing before doing the show, but after we've been doing the show for 2 years almost. It's very nearly 2 years. Actually, it's been over 2 years.
Just past it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, we missed the 2-year anniversary. Oh gosh, that was this last Thursday was the 2-year anniversary of DC on Screen. Gosh, guys. Anyway, so but after doing this show for so long, I kind of like there's no real point. Like, you don't know, you can't. Reshoots don't mean a damn thing. And
they
when
really
they
don't.
lift the embargo on reviews, don't mean a damn thing.
You'd have to have details to know if the reshoots were particularly worrisome, and those just don't get released.
And honestly, the only reason, let's be honest here, let's everyone just be honest. The real reason we're worried about this is because it's DC.
I don't keep up with Marvel's news as much, but I've never.
Marvel
I've never seen a bunch of rabble-rab about Marvel reshoots.
Oh, no. Well, it depends on the project. Like Edgar Wright's.
Ant-Man? Yeah, I saw that. When that went into reshoots, it had a lot of stuff going on. But then, even then, the director came out and said, look, man, I'm just adding some stuff that's supposed. I mean, it's not like. We're
I mean, it was a Peyton Reed film, let's be honest. I mean,
it was, but he had to come out and kind of say, like, yeah, if it feels like an Edgar Wright film, or it feels like because we both worked on it. Like, he had a huge amount of influence, and then I've made it my film, and yeah, there's going to be some stuff in there that's going to feel like an Edgar Wright film. Like, what do you want from me?
Yeah, absolutely. So look, there's been a ton of Wonder Woman marketing, a lot of stuff coming out. There's a really cool poster out there. And apparently, if you go to see this thing in the real D 3D, whatever the hell that is, you can get this exclusive mini poster with Gal Gadot. It's Wonder Woman lifting a tank. It looks really cool. I want it on my wall. If I can find it,
I just saw a thumbnail of that, and I thought, oh, that's just good.
Yeah, that's just good stuff. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the marketing later on. But Lucy Davis is talking about Etta and Steve's relationship. She talked about a lot more, and I cut it for you, Brent. For you. Let's just say Lucy Davis got a little spoilery, and ridiculously so, for my taste. But I'll talk about this part. She says she was talking about Steve and Candy's relationship. Mm-hmm. She says one of the great things that Etta gets to work with Steve Trevor is because Steve is not your typical man, and that he does entrust her with things that in 1918 probably wouldn't have been entrusted to a secretary of somebody who is quite important. As you see in the movie, she has been entrusted with the mission they are secretly on, and I am kind of ridiculously a fan of Lucy Davis. I
adore her. I really do. I mean, between the UK office and Shaun of the Dead, I'm just a giant fan.
Yeah, and she said a lot more about the movie. Some of it was a lot of spoilery stuff. Some of it was just stuff we've heard before. We're getting to a point where the movie's about to come out, and everybody's saying a lot of stuff. We have to kind of cut it down. We have to pick and choose what we're saying, or what we're talking about, because of either spoilers or because, like, gosh, we've heard this before from other actors, so let's move on. David Thewlis, though, the guy playing Sir Patrick Morgan in the movie, he had some interesting stuff to say. He says, Sir Patrick's entire drive through the other half of the story is to bring about the armistice. That's his whole intention no matter what's going on. He meets Diana and sees in her somebody who is sympathetic to his cause, quite vehemently so. So, yeah, we haven't heard much from that guy, and I thought I'd bring that in. He's the old general guy with the mustache.
Yeah. I actually do remember him.
Yeah. He's like, what was your name again? And she's like, I am Diana, Princess of Diana Prince. Okay. So, DC Comics, they're doing a Warner Brothers. Wonder Woman Day. June 3rd is Wonder Woman Day. Here's all that marketing you guys were worrying about. There's going to be 2 exclusive comic books released. One of them is going to be Wonder Woman Day Special Edition number 1, which is a reprint of Wonder Woman number 1 by Greg Rucka and Liam Sharp. And then they're also going to be doing DC Superhero Girls Wonder Woman Day Special Edition number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to feature a chapter from Shea Fontana and Yancey Labatt's DC Superhero Girls Volume 3 Summer Olympics, which hasn't actually been released yet. And they're going to do this thing. Let's see. This is how they're counting down to Wonder Woman Day. DC's award-winning original digital series, DC All Access, will host a can't-miss Wonder Woman Week series of segments from May 29th to June 3rd. The 6-day Wonder Woman Takeover will spotlight essentials, sit down with key talent from the Wonder Woman feature film, and also discuss the iconic character's legacy with acclaimed comic writers and artists. They also mention that there will be a downloadable kit that has activity sheets, coloring pages, games, and trivia. There will be Wonder Woman Day themed tiaras and bracelets. The special retailers, quote unquote, they're not naming yet, but that'll be a thing. Discounts on 100 plus digital comics and ebooks from the DC Comics app. And ReadCenterEntertainment.com. That starts on May 30th. And there's going to be a special hashtag Wonder Woman Day. So all of that's happening, and it's pretty cool. I'm down with that. They're pushing Wonder Woman so much right now.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a little lighter. There's some Chinese Wonder Woman ads that have been offending the hell out of fans.
Okay.
Yeah. So they put up a thing, and it was like DC filmed through the Weibo or whatever. It was a social media giant in China. It's aimed at the Chinese audience, and apparently China just doesn't get Wonder Woman. And you'll see what I mean. So the first promo, they put up a caption. And when you translate it, it says, with great power comes great responsibility.
Perfect.
Obviously, that's Spider-Man's thing.
Yeah.
That actual phrase is from Spider-Man. And then they put up an ad that shows Wonder Woman watching Steve Trevor's plane crash. And jumping in after him, and their caption was, "Go to the beach and find a boyfriend."
Wow.
They've since deleted both of those.
This may not be the strangest foreign thing I've heard about this week, though.
But there was a huge outcry. People were really mad, thought it was disrespectful. Everyone was pissing off about it. Then they released a picture of all these different panels of King Hippolyta, or King Hippolyta, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Ryan Cronin's going to yell at me again.
I think it's Hippolyta myself.
Hippolyta?
Hippolyta.
Yes, that's it. Hippolyta. But she's like, they've got all these pictures of her. Like, it looks like they've got they've drawn these little, lines coming from her mouth, like almost word bubbles, saying all these awful things to Wonder Woman. And in the middle is Wonder Woman responding. Here's how it goes. Hippolyta. God, why can't I say it?
I don't know.
Hippolyta says, don't stay out too late. Don't starve yourself too much while dieting. Don't show off your ability to be so aggressive when your friends are in trouble. Don't disobey me. And then we see Diana says, okay. And then Hippolyta says, don't choose your boyfriend so casually, like picking up an unconscious drunk lady in a bar.
Jesus.
Don't show off too much skin while dressing. Don't leave your paradise home. Don't learn these boyish martial arts. And people were again pissed, so they deleted that.
Also, she was like, screw Tibet. While we're at it. No, one of the funniest things I've seen internationally in the last week, Deej Pinhalo from Nerdtalkalypse sent this to me.
Oh. Hiya, Deej.
Hey, bud. So, yeah. You remember that scene of the Flash in the convenience store when he shuts down that robbery in BVS?
Nope.
When they're just clicking through surveillance footage?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just clicking through surveillance footage that's obviously too good to be surveillance footage. Well, shh. There was a small wave of people in Thailand who apparently saw that and thought like proof of aliens. That was a real thing that happened for a second. There was a number of people. I don't know the number, but it was enough that it trended for a second in Thailand. That was the footage that got sent, and everyone involved in that wave went, yeah. Oh, I knew aliens were here.
What?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
Okay, one more time. What?
Yep.
Oh.
I can't help you any further than that.
I will say this. I feel that Orson Welles is spinning in his grave at the idea that he didn't have to try so hard.
I didn't even have to drive down to the radio. It's further than the studio.
Oh. Anyway, moving on to Aquaman. A bunch of pictures and video have been released from Aquaman. Set photos from Village Roadshow Studios. Shows 3 buildings in Amnesty Bay. The Fish Co-op, Terry's Sunken Galleon, and the Curry Lighthouse. Stuff looks good. Don't know what to say about it other than that. It looks like Amnesty Bay to me. Now, also, in the oh my gosh category,
love those.
James Wan has released pictures of Amber Heard in Lady Mera outfit, and yep, that's her.
So the internet just kind of went collectively YUP.
Well, there was a loud clanking sound, and it was everyone's jaws hitting the floor. Comic book accurate costume, the green form-fitting, and speaking of the form, damn. Just yes all the way around. That looks fantastic. And a maquette of Aquaman has popped up, and he's in his comic accurate costume with the gold shirt and the green pants. But in comic book, in sort of more of it looks like the sort of scale pattern on the Mera outfit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it looks great.
They're going to play a lot with scales in this film, which I dig.
We don't know where this maquette came from or anything, but if it is actually legit, that could be really cool. I could really dig Jason Momoa in a comic book accurate situation. So moving on to the Flash, we've had a lot of news for the possible directors of the Flash. It was reported over the week that Robert Zemeckis, which is a couple weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was reported that Robert Zemeckis of Back to the Future was talking about doing it, but it looked like he was going to be directing something else. Marwan Call, it looks like. And it still looks like that. But it's been reported that Bob Zemeckis of Back to the Future, Matthew Vaughn of X-Men First Class, and Sam Raimi of Spider-Man were in the short list to do the Flash movie. And according to EW, Raimi passed. Mark Webb passed, which Mark Webb, appropriately did The Amazing Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And
I really like those.
Yeah, it looked like Zemeckis, though, was going to not be able to do it, and because of his movie. And I like The Amazing Spider-Man. I didn't care. I liked The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I didn't like it as much as I should have. Like, there were problems, but
There were some story problems and some character development problems, but I still enjoyed a lot of what I was being shown. And Andrew Garfield was just great. Really, I hate that he didn't get more of a chance. That's my big regret from that series.
Well, you say that, but then you look at the Tom Holland and you go, well,
yeah,
clearly
but
meant
they were doing
to
a
be
different
the
version.
Spider-Man.
I mean, they really were like this was. It's only about probably like a 5-6 year difference in age,
Hey,
but
look, I did. I liked Andrew Garfield. I liked the fact that we had a Spider-Man who didn't weep at the drop of a hat. He was funny.
was not an emo Spider-Man. He was really funny.
But he also was, cocky as hell and acted kind of like a little thug. It was real weird.
I can deal with that to some extent. Now, Tom Holland, I think, is going to end up being the Spider-Man.
Tom Holland.
If I had to put my
Well, I mean,
my hat in one ring.
yeah. Now, Kevin Smith, though, tweeted out, I know of at least one director who wouldn't pass on The Flash.
Who could you mean, Mr.
And
Smith?
then he says, but to be fair, he's more of a quote, unquote, lowercase d director than a uppercase letter director. And on record, I would love to see Bob Zemeckis do The Flash. I would be okay with Matthew Vaughn doing it. I would love to see Sam Raimi doing it. I would be okay with Mark Webb doing it. And I'd be pretty good with Kevin Smith doing it.
No, I don't have a problem with anybody you just mentioned. Really.
Yeah. Now Randy on Twitter, Randy SF45 says, "What is it about Flash that makes it difficult to find a director?" Well, I think that it's a character that's already been established in previous universe, or in previous movies. Is what I mean. He's already been established. He's already been cast. Most directors, most really phenomenal directors, they want to cast their own people. They don't want to have to adhere to anything that's already been laid down, and that's what they're going to have to deal with. They don't want to have to deal with any of that. Because a lot of these people they're talking about are old enough that they've made a name for themselves, and they don't want to deal with that. They're just like, no, I don't. Why would I want to adhere to some bullshit that a studio tells me? No. Do you know who we are?
Yeah. There's some ego there.
And if I had the power, I might not want to do it, but I love those characters, so I probably would do it. But the other part is they have to compete with a very popular and beloved show.
Yeah.
So I think that would be their primary concerns.
But I think it's been established enough at this point that you can do a different version, and it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's a very full universe you have going on in the CW.
You think that though, Jason, but then you look back at Favreau, who couldn't wrap his. He said, "Oh, I wouldn't do the Avengers because I can't wrap my mind around Thor being in the same universe as Iron Man." And I love Jon Favreau as a director, but come on, dude, really?
I agree, but I think he just made a mental mistake there.
Well, sure.
I mean,
his loss is Joss Whedon's gain.
Yeah, just looking back, it did work, and I think he'd probably admit that now if you really asked him.
Yeah, probably. But, again, we're looking at, these directors on the forefront of a situation as opposed to in hindsight, so they're going to be like, nah.
Yeah, everybody's got their opinions going into things. We're all wrong about shit all the time.
Sure. Now, there were a bunch of reports this week that Billy Crudup had decided to leave The Flash, and
that was
Hollywood
all,
Reporter,
as far as I could tell, wrong.
Yeah, Hollywood Reporter says that he's still down.
Yeah.
So, screw you guys. Not you listeners who care, but the people who thought that was true.
Yeah.
Real quick, someone asked Matt Reeves if Andy Serkis could be in the Batman. Matt Reeves says, Andy Serkis in anything. He is the best.
Nice.
So, don't know if that's actual news, but that's a thing. Ray Fisher was over at the City of Heroes convention this weekend, and he confirmed that Cyborg is still on track for 2020. So everyone's kind of thought like maybe Cyborg wasn't going to be happening now. It was going to be turned into like the Cyborg Flash movie. But according to Ray Fisher, it's still happening in 2020.
Doesn't mean you can't have a guest star.
No. Fans are continuing to confuse the hell out of Charlie Hunnam.
Nice.
Someone asked, when are you going to be Green Lanterned? Like we've talked about him being the Green Arrow over and over again, but not Green Lantern. But he says, and I don't think he knows the difference, but he says, people, I'm not a comic book guy, really. I don't know these comic books. People bring me. I must, look like him or something like that. Look like the guy in the comic books, because people bring that up to me all the time, and I have no idea what any of you are talking about. And it was pointed out to him that they're thinking about rebooting Green Lantern, and he says, I'll have to have a sniff about it. Maybe I'll do a bit of a Google search about it to see who this Green Lantern chap is. Who knows what's happening there? And, there's a bit of an interesting point. The Universal Monsters Cinematic Universe. Are you aware that the Universal Monsters...
I'm aware that they're trying their own little multiverses.
They started it with Dracula Untold, and then, even though that was financially successful, it wasn't critically received that well, so they decided to kind of reboot it, and they're starting it with The Mummy proper with Tom Cruise, but they're calling it the Dark Universe, which makes some people think that that's why they've changed over from calling Justice League Dark Universe in the movies to back to Justice League Dark, which is fine to me because I feel like, that's stupid anyway. You should have called it Justice League Dark from the beginning.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Because that's what it's called. Kind of
interesting. So Alicia Silverstone is apparently up for playing Batgirl again.
No, sweetie.
I know. She told USA Today, she's like, I feel like I could do a much better Batgirl than I did then. It would be fun to tackle it again because I'm older and my acting is better. I know I would bring so much more to it. I was just a baby. It was a different thing back then. And I think it would be fun to do it again. She also said she wanted the costume to change. Something you can sit in, something you can get out of to pee. And she said she's open to anything, whatever people bring to me, and whatever the best choice is at the time. To all of that, I say no. No one wants you. You're not a good actress. You never were. And, I have friends who will vehemently deny, like, oh, no, Blast from the Past. Oh, no, Clueless. Oh, no, Crush. Guys, come on, man. No.
All right, moving back to Universal for a second.
Yeah.
I grew up loving the idea of those classic monsters.
Yeah.
But I have no idea how they're going to make this work.
Well, Russell Crowe is in The Mummy as some sort of professor or something.
Sure.
And he's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Why not? All right, so they're going to do some crossovers, and that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm not sure how they're going to make this work in the modern world, so to speak. Like, people aren't really afraid of these things anymore. Like, not really. I mean, zombies still have some appeal. Werewolves are kind of off the beaten track. Vampires are a thing we make fun of now regularly.
Yeah.
And I never watched Dracula: The Untold Story or whatever it is, but is it just Dracula Untold? Is that what you said?
I don't think it's actually a part of the canon anymore.
They decided to just bail on that one.
I think so. Let's be fair. Like, some of the Mummy stuff looks pretty cool, but the fact that Tom Cruise is in it just completely destroys it for me. Like, just seeing Tom Cruise almost completely, just...
It takes me out of just about anything.
Like, I just look at him, and I try not to hit up religion too much, but Scientology's utter bullshit. And as soon as I see Tom Cruise, I just go, no.
Yeah.
I just see him dancing on Oprah's couch from 8 years ago.
And that's at least just mania. It really is, though. Like, I see him and think, oh, you need help. From a psychiatrist, which you believe is the devil.
Yep.
And I can't completely justify that because I've heard some stories of him like on a personal level where he seemed to be a perfectly normal human being, but there are times where he's on screen where he seems so exaggerated. I keep thinking, oh, help him. But
well, in a way, we're all that. We're all looking for meaning, purpose.
Sure, I just like you said, we don't try to pick on religion at all, but don't look for it in a sci-fi writer. Guy clearly had an agenda. Right. So I think we've made our controversial stance on Scientology.
If you don't believe us, go watch The Master.
I'm sure we'll be run off the airwaves.
Oh, wait, we have complete control over whether or not we pose... Never mind. We won't be run off of any airwaves. Oh.
There will be riots over this controversial idea that Scientology is a bit off. But yeah, like, I really... Sorry.
A bit.
I really like... I like those old characters. I do. Like, all the old monsters, man. They're dear to my heart. They're dear to my childhood. Like,
Sure.
I'm not sure how Universal's going to make that relevant in this day and age. And I gotta admit, I am rooting for him. I really am. Like, I want to go back and watch the Dracula movie and see if it was maybe underrated, but yeah, I have a feeling it wasn't.
It did well financially. It really did. It was divisive critically. Sound familiar? No reason for us to choose. No reason for us to.
No, I know. I mean, there's
cast aspersions on it yet. I haven't seen it. I didn't care.
I do kind of care. I mean, I'm the kind of guy who, like, opening night went to Dracula 2000 because I love those guys. I mean, I have like 8 Anne Rice books on my shelf right now.
I have several, but I didn't see Dracula 2000.
And you know what's sad is I know I'm behind because of that I only have 8, but I haven't had time to catch up.
Yeah. So anyway.
Anyway.
Back. We have more fan feedback. We have a voicemail from Brent over at the DCTV Squadcast, and we are going to cut to that now.
Hey, this is Brent from DCTV Squadcast, and I'm calling because I haven't heard you play any of these yet, and I'm waiting to see when you're actually going to do that. Also, I'm about to listen to your Guardians review on a DC show, because why not? I'm really curious to find out what you guys thought about it, and whether or not you caught some of the deeper things beyond just the shallow jokes. Guess we're about to find out if you figured it out or not.
Alright, so some of that voicemail was a bit obfuscated, is a little staticky. And Brent followed up with me later on in a message on Twitter. He says, in the voicemail I left, I questioned if you were going to get some of the depth Guardians had. Well, thanks, man. We're not that bright.
We never prided ourselves on that. No.
No, I'm kidding. He says, I've seen a lot where people don't see past the jokes. Happy to say, and you can quote me, you nailed it. Fantastic movie, even though we disagree about Pac-Man. LOL. Yeah, we disagree about Pac-Man.
Wait, which one of us though? Because
he disagrees with me about Pac-Man.
Was it you? Okay, so I thought Pac-Man made sense and was okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he agrees with you.
So me and Brent are 100 then.
You are.
Yeah.
Apparently.
What's up, dude?
You're an idiot. Not because you agree with Brent, just I don't know. You're just funny.
Okay.
Rick's story.
Okay with all my phrasing making me sound like an idiot. That's fine.
Like, yeah, what's up, dude?
What up? What up, bro?
On Twitter, Rick's story, Old Man Rick 68 says, "Damn, you guys nailed the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 review so bad. At times I knew exactly what you were saying. just before you said it. Also agree with 9.5 out of 10. Also agree, how can DC compete with a comic book movie that good? And you know the comparisons are coming. And, I responded, as I respond here, how can Marvel compete with a comic book movie
This is
that
a
good?
Universal problem. Not Universal, the
Absolutely.
company. They have their
And he
own
agrees.
problems. We just addressed
Yes,
that.
they do. Absolutely. And he
This
says,
is a
"I want
galactic problem.
And he agrees and says, "I want James Gunn directing everything until the end of time." Well, I don't want to go that far. I love James Gunn, but we need other artistic visions in the world.
No, I mean, that guy's been up to bat twice, and he's hit a home run twice.
Oh yeah.
As far as that cinematic universe, and you just can't ask more of somebody.
Well, as much as I enjoyed Slither, I still went, "What the hell is this?"
That's why I qualified it to that universe.
Yeah.
Not saying no one's career in the history of humanity is 100%. It just doesn't happen.
No.
It's impossible. But in the 2 movies he's been responsible for, he has absolutely made a wonderful product.
Sure. J. Scott St. Clair says, came for the DC movie news, stayed for the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 review. Another great cast, fellas. You haven't disappointed yet. Not me, anyway. Keep up the good work. I certainly appreciate the time and energy that you put forth. Thank you, man.
I appreciate it.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
It makes me feel good. Makes me feel like I want to keep, throwing away hours of my life to make this show.
Dozens.
And, that's...
Dozens of hours.
That's always a positive thing. Yeah, just tossing away.
That's a real thing. I do love stopping to do a Marvel review every now and then, because we do it when it's such a landmark movie that we just really have to fucking do it.
I think we didn't do one for Doctor Strange, really.
Yeah, I think we talked about it for a few seconds, but we didn't stop and do an extra thing for it. But
which maybe we should, because apparently the fans like it. Apparently people like it when we just kind of do a stinger throwaway review of Marvel, and that might be the way that we get away with it, because we got to keep an eye on the competition. It's sort of like how
it's fitting to do stingers too. But
it's sort of like how Christians, claim that they watch Family Guy to stay, quote, culturally relevant.
Right.
And I, as a believer myself, that's a thing that happens. It was even in the book, the John Acuff book, Things Christians Like. It was mentioned specifically, and I went, that is so a real thing. Also, Family Guy is funny. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. It's funny. So,
it itself varies from relevance every now and then, but it is still funny.
It totally does. It totally does. Sometimes it's just not very good.
Yeah, sometimes it's just a weird episode. But, I like popping over to do Marvel stuff every now and then, because it is provocative, if I had to pick just one word.
Provocative?
It doesn't have to be weird. Don't make it weird. Don't make it weird. That word means what it means.
I know what it means.
It provokes
Calm down.
ative.
Calm down. I'm going to leave that in to punish you.
I'm okay with that.
That's what I'm going to do.
I made my choice. I'll live.
All right. Now, on to our last voicemail. Voicemail number 3. I don't know what this is.
I don't know what to make of anything.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Well, you fellas are some kind of, I don't know what to tell you, but I hope you're all right. You don't hold it against no old widow woman. But I do like me some TV shows and stuff. Well, I hope you have you good. And I sold myself. I sold my drawers while I was running over there, but don't worry about me none. I'll be all right. Well, I hope you fellers are okay, and God bless, and have you a good day. Thank you. Bye.
All right. What the hell was that?
I don't know.
It was, obviously, the number, like, I couldn't trace the number. I didn't try, but it was very obviously like a we star 67 or what, or 76 or whatever that is ourselves, so that you can't figure out who we are.
Is that still a thing people can do?
Well, look, it came across, like, every number that we got came across as a real number, except for this one, which was just 9999999.
An unknown number?
Yeah. So,
I don't know.
I laughed.
I did laugh. I wanted to suggest that it's okay if you sold your drawers. You can still pretty much put clothes in that chest of not drawers. You just are going to have to pull everything out. It's going to just be less convenient.
Yeah.
If you meant pants, that's just a whole different problem.
Mm-hmm. Well, they said, don't worry about me, I'll be all right, so.
And that's what we really need to take away from that message.
Yes.
Don't think twice. It's all right.
Ooh, Bob Dylan reference.
I like...
You know, I always respect that.
I like to make you happy. Throw in one of those every now and then.
Well, voicemail number 3, I ain't saying you treated us unkind. You just kind of wasted our precious time. Don't think twice. It's all right.
It's all right.
And I'm going to call it on this episode of DC On Screen. You can find every episode, DCOnScreen.com. And if you would like to leave us a voicemail, I think you can quite adequately do so. And look, you know, some of these are not great quality, so we might actually, if you have a microphone set up on your computer, we might actually try to get integrated into SpeakPipe, which is what our network uses. The majority of places on our network uses. So you can actually just like go to our website and hit the SpeakPipe button, and it'll record a message for us that we can download, and it'll be much better quality than the voicemail recordings. I'm looking into that right now. But until then, you can call 205-259-6331 to leave us a voicemail, you know, on your lunch break and your leisure time. And that'll be much appreciated. And we're going to have a lot of fun with that. I think we had fun with it this episode. But we're going to be coming right back with a DCTV episode. By the way, DCOnScreen.com for every episode, DC On Screen for Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and GiantSizeTeamUp.com is our network, Giant Size Team Up network. They have a ton of great shows on there. Mm-hmm. And
we're going to have a little presence at Dragon Con this year if anybody comes out.
Are we?
Yep.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, a fair amount of us are going to be at Dragon Con. Well, I say us as though I'm definitely going to be there. I'm trying.
You're trying? Yeah, I haven't even considered that yet. I don't know what's going on, but I haven't really considered it.
Up in Atlanta.
Maybe. Yeah. So, we're going to be coming right back with a DCTV weekly news episode. Until then, though, if there's time between them, you might be listening to them back to back, which is fine, and I encourage it. But if there's any time between them, keep some DC on your screen.